Dark times for the guild indeed. Dark times. I was making some excellent research on creating a new compound from gold and lead, and now I barely have time to conduct any research at all with all this nonsense occurring. The whole point of grey wizards is they are supposed to be good at finding things, but could our resident one find one necromancer? No. Now every wizard in Middenheim is being criticised for not doing more. How hilarious. Suddenly, wizards are important again. None of them cared when we were about to be taxed to poverty. Hopefully this new fellow is somewhat competent at his job. Of all the times for the deputy wizard to go off on a shopping trip, I hope she returns soon. She's always been better at this than me. This is Red Moon Roleplaying. It's roughly midday as the four of you make your way, once again, to the Oswald district, one of the two poorer districts of Middenheim. For three of you, you've been here before, so it's not a new sight, but for one of you, this is the first time seeing this place. This place, Gurner Stark, gives Middenheim its reputation for narrow streets and even narrower buildings. Everything here is very tight, very closely packed together. Several buildings look as if they're falling apart or leaning out at very dangerous angles, and pathways lead to other pathways and stairs, and if you were to fall down one of them, you could easily find yourself falling down 3 or 4. You also notice that the patrols of blue-cloaked guards, who make up the city watch, are completely absent here. Instead, just people in very poor clothing making their way about places quietly and quickly. You've been informed that this is the home turf to the Low Kings, at least one of the Low Kings, Gurner, a place of crime.
Well, friends, this could be dangerous. I better go and scout ahead. Back in a bit.
I stand there and I'm in this company of people that I don't really know from before. I don't know what's normal. I don't know how they do things, and I don't want to be anyone that comes in and tells anyone to do anything. So I just start leaning a bit on my staff, and I look at the other two to see what they do.
Yeah, I nod at him and say, well, go safely, don't do anything we wouldn't.
And with that, Krueger, you depart, getting ready to scout ahead.
So your name's Gunnar, is it?
Gerner. It's a G-E-R.
Ah, well, I remember there was a Gunnar in the village where I grew up, but not a Gurner, but I suppose one name is as much a real name as any other. My name's Siegfrieda or Lady Wittgenstein, depending on which you prefer. I know we've been formally introduced, but I often find informal introductions are slightly, well, better.
Yes, well, I've journeyed a fair bit with nobility before, and I don't mind using titles or whatever you...
No, you don't need to use titles around me, I promise. It'll only make me feel uncomfortable.
All right.
And this loyal dog by my side is Erica. I gesture to the husky hound at my side, a large creature, almost as large as Siegfrieda, to be honest, but looking perfectly affectionate, tongue hanging out.
As we were walking our way here and getting around the city, I had been casting stares at the dog, not quite knowing what to make of it. It seemed not very interested in me. I myself am quite fond of animals, so now that I get introduced to this... Erica, you say? I kneel down.
Picked her up on our last, well, I suppose adventure, if that's not too rich a word. Felt sensible to have some kind of defence, although, to be honest, she's provided more, well, companionship than defence, although she's perfectly capable of sinking her teeth into someone. Not you, don't worry, Gurner. She's not going to bite unless I tell her to, and I won't. I'm sure I won't have a need to, will I?
Oh, no, of course not. I very much like dogs, and I'm used to working along with the people that I am assigned to, rather than the opposite.
Well, we were obviously told of you in some esteem, but what is your background? And don't worry, this isn't some interview or anything like that. We're open books, aren't we, Heinrich?
Oh, yeah. No secrets here.
But, it's nice to know. Apparently you're some master of the arcane.
Oh, well, I will never venture that far. Not yet, at least. Not master, but I've been promoted to a Shadowmancer now, so I do hold my own and carry my license around with me, allowed to practice the arts. I put a little emphasis on this as I look towards our dear, supposedly witch hunter, Heinrich, as well. So, as I was traveling around, I did a lot of fetching and running around, just the odd job for the academy. It was mostly checking in to see if this person had been heard from in a while or not. There was this actually fairly early on. I was about to do my last test, and then they sent me out to find this woman called, her name was Eltka Herden, and turns out she was completely gone from her house, some sort of break-in. I thought it was a bit interesting, but aside from that, I seem to mostly end up in coincidental circumstances.
I'll let you finish before I turn to Heinrich. He did just say Elke Herzen, was it?
I believe so. You said there was a break-in? I can't imagine the kind of people who do that.
No, it was very strange. They were completely, gone, or she was. I look between the two of you. Did you know this person?
Well, we had a run-in or two.
Oh.
I wouldn't use. I don't think "no" is the word I would choose.
No, she didn't seem like the sort of person you'd really want to get to know very well.
No. Came across?
Yes. And almost tripped over at the end, I suppose.
Well, certainly more than I did.
Yes, she seemed to be in most places we were. In some cases it seemed to be quite by coincidence, in others most certainly not. But it doesn't surprise me that, I'm not a student of the stars or anything like that, but I do read, and I'm told that large, I suppose, worlds in the sky and balls of fire are drawn to each other. And it makes sense as well that I suppose like a spinning vortex, a whirlpool in the sea, we're all drawn toward the centre eventually. And I think Herzen, wherever she rests now, was probably one such individual. We all just ended up entering her pull. So, just I suppose, quite remarkable we never crossed paths with you. Not that there was any reason for us to do so.
I bite my lip a bit. Yeah, well, it's all, I suppose, some sort of history now. Oh, all right. Well, yes, I suppose you're right. Sometimes people that tend to affect the world, I suppose, have to stumble into each other's paths. What about you, Heinrich? Was it you? I can't say I have had fantastically pleasurable experiences with your order, but did you say you were about to become a witch hunter? Was there something like that I heard in there?
Something to that effect, yes. It's a new, shall we say, career path. When Siegfrieda first met me on the the dusty road to Altdorf, I was just an aspiring little duelist. A man with a good sword arm, a good eye, and a good hat. But travels have changed. I'll get this out of the way now. I don't know how you and your kind do the things that you do, and I don't know how to make the measure of a wizard who will use their powers for the benefit of the Empire, and a wizard who will use their powers to bring untold horrors into the world. I don't understand any of that. I'm hoping they cover it at school. So I don't mean you specifically any ill will. There's just a lack of trust that comes with lack of understanding, you know?
I nod slowly. Yeah. No, yeah, sure, that's... Of course, I don't judge myself. This is what I was myself like when I was back in my village, and then I finally started seeing things, smelling things, even tasting things that other people didn't, and didn't take long before I was accused. Well, actually, I didn't really have time to be accused. I was sent off in the middle of the night. My grandfather was a knight, and he had a few contacts in the city, so he somehow got me to a place that was safe, and there I started trying to talk to people who would, accept me into an academy for formal training. Whatever it is that I have with me, it's funny, you know, a part of me was more keen on becoming a knight myself. Not this, but here we are.
And what is this? I'm sorry, I don't mean to turn you into an encyclopedia, but you're the first wizard I've met who hasn't tried to kill me, so this is, I think, the longest conversation I've been allowed to have with someone who can do what you do. But, you are a Shadowmancer, you said?
Yeah, that's right. So you know about the different colleges of magic, perhaps?
Yes.
Or the academies?
It is obvious Heinrich is lying to Siegfrieda. I don't know if Gunnar would pick up on it, but it is obvious that Heinrich is lying.
All right. Well, if it's that obvious, I'll probably just nod slowly. Yes, and then perhaps yes. You're probably familiar with the different winds of magic. You see, there are 8 winds of magic, and you're only allowed to study one of them. If you ever combine them, that's what's going to turn into dark magic, or the black wind of Dar. But otherwise, as long as you stick to one of the winds and don't dabble into witchcraft and do it under regulated circumstances, you can learn to harness that particular wind to some feats that wind is particularly suited for. Me, for example, I manipulate the shadows and the weaves around it, and I could never set things on fire, for example, like someone who would be manipulating the red wind, or control beasts or so, which someone manipulating the more amber wind of Gur, which, as it happens, is quite intense in this very city, I say, and I start to nerd out on this a little bit, and then I just stop and look at the two of you to kind of gauge if you're interested in what I'm saying or not.
Oh, I'm looking at you quite curiously, while giving Erica's head a rub. But why shadows? I mean, were you... I'm not some superstitious idiot who thinks darkness is inherently, shall we say, chaotic. But there is I suppose, an innate duplicity to playing around with shadows. Did it call to you, or was this just a choice, or did a professor assign you this class. I don't know how it works. And actually, now that you've piqued my interest, how, like Heinrich said, almost every wizard or approximate that we've encountered has wanted our heads, our hearts, or our souls, or all three. What makes you so special that is not the case for you? And again, this isn't an interview. we're not putting you on trial or anything like that. Although it might be good practice for Heinrich's future career prospects.
One thing you definitely know, Gerda. Half the things Sigfrida just said are indeed stereotypes attributed to your order.
Yeah. Well, it's not strange that it may sound a bit suspicious to you, but believe me, the Grey Wind is still far more subtle than the workings of the Purple Wind, who often manipulate death and such. Although they are the sworn enemies of necromancers, but yes, why the Grey Wind? Well, when I found out that I was going to an academy myself, I hoped to maybe see those fabled spires of the blue towers, and maybe I could become a nastromancer, throwing lightning balls here and there. But yeah, as it happened to be, it turned out the person that my grandfather knew, he had a certain connection to the Grey College. It's not that I was particularly suited for this kind of magic. It was just that was my track into it. He knew someone there, and I got, assigned to a mentor who started teaching me this. The Grey College is a bit particular. They don't really have big gatherings and classrooms like the guild seems to have here, and I think the other colleges do. It's more a apprentice-master relationship, and you travel with them and learn on the road as you go.
Right.
More like. But, yeah, as to your question, the Grey College, us Shadowmancers, we traditionally become, we work often in courts, become advisors, and we do everything we do in service of the Empire as well as we can. It's more about trying to keep up with politics, beware of manipulations from the outside, and sort of sniff out, I suppose, corruption that could be on the inside as well. So you could call us not spies necessarily, but that's certainly something that a grey wizard would be very good at.
Uh-huh.
So what do you think, Heinrich? Set him on fire or forgive him for now? I'm just joking, Gunnar. I'm not suggesting.
I try to laugh, but something catches in my throat. I understand you're laughing.
Believe me, when you said that you have no talent for throwing fireballs and causing conflagrations, that is no problem. We are perfectly adept at setting fires all by ourselves. Something of a volunteer fire department for the city.
It is a bit strange that we've actually... Heinrich is shaking his head at the idea that for all the stereotyping we've done of this wizard, we have actually probably caused more menace to the Empire than he has. Just peering into shadows and uncovering things and spying. But what can you do? There's shadow, and you mance it. Can you change your face? Can you blow out a candle?
Well, I suppose that since we're working together, it would be good, yes, to know. I can, it takes a long time to memorize spells. I carry some with me in my grimoire, though that takes a little bit longer to do. What I could do is, I can detach my shadow from myself. Sounds a little bit weird and hocus pocus, but I can do that, and when I do that, I I see through one eye of where the shadow goes, and I hear everything through one ear, what the shadow hears. And so I can move that into places that a person necessarily wouldn't be able to go into. I look at you a bit like skeptically, as if in, should I say more?
Oh, Heinrich's eyebrows are arched, but it's quite positive. And turning to Siegfrieda, that would have made things a lot easier.
I can also transport us to places. It's a fascinating spell that I actually quite recently was able to memorize completely. I point up to a rooftop over there. Let's say we all wanted to travel up there. I could, that'd probably be within my reach to bring us and the whole group up there. I can also throw a bolt, a spear of shadow against someone who we would wish to impale. Though, to be honest, last time I tried to do that, the spell got dispelled. So but I'm still, I can do it, I say, and I cross my arms a bit defiantly.
Oh, I feel now that we've put you in a position where where you feel like you're having to justify your meal ticket, and that isn't... I'm sorry. While we were waiting for Krueger, I was just hoping to get to know you a little better, and I feel like it's... well, we certainly know you and your credentials now. And yet we've told you very little about ourselves. I assure you this was not some discreet means of interrogating you, Gurnar. I am sure that your talents match up to, well, the acclaim they heralded you with when introducing you in the first place. So no need for defense. I'm sure when the time comes, you'll be able to show off to us exactly what you're capable of.
Speaking of which, Heinrich, now you mention it, waiting for Krueger, how long has it been now? Has it been at least 30 minutes, maybe even 40? There's still no sign of him. He went down a few streets and vanished from view, and yes, he's actually running a bit late.
Oh... Not this again.
I look at you. Is it normal that he takes a little bit of extra time, perhaps?
Oh, yes, but also no. You never know with Krueger. God, I'm just thinking the last time we sent him down there and this happened, and... You never know what he's going to run into, and on the one hand, you're supposed to trust him, and on the other hand, it's just...
No, we should probably go search for him. I mean, I was hoping that the time had passed, that the frequent cases of mistaken identity were over, but you can never tell, can you, when someone's going to grab him by the shoulders and say, "Castor!" So let's see if we can sniff him out.
Just follow the sounds of shouting or his coin purse being emptied.
Yes, that would be worse right now. I have some rather hefty bills to pay.
Well, you begin doing your best to enter the district, but only one of you actually knows one route, and that of course is you, Heinrich, as you have quite a good sense of navigation skill, so you remember the way to that place where you met that man, that the place you're supposed to go today, the Regent's House Tavern, and you remember that being a little bit of a square, but otherwise you do not know this district, and already the streets are becoming very twisty and turny. Going left, going right, you can feel that you're being watched from several buildings, although, again, you, Heinrich, and Siegfrieda would be aware it wasn't quite the same here as the Alt Quarter. In the Alt Quarter, the people watching were quite literally watching you from alleyways with clubs in their hands. Here, the watchers always seem to be inside somewhere. But yes, no sign of Krueger.
Well, we don't look especially well heeled, and anyone who keeps any kind of eye on the knowings of the city should have a vague sense of who we are, right, after all? So I'm not particularly worried about being snatched up. That said, I'm also not a very patient or thoughtful man, so Well, gentlemen, if you'll indulge me, whatever Krueger is into, he either needs our help in a light sense of escaping a conversation that he wants to be out of, or he needs our help in a very severe sense, in that he's currently being tied down, and Sigmar knows what. Shall we perhaps proceed to the nearest den of ill repute, knock on the door, let them know who we are, and demand answers?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I don't know how spread out this gang is, or how likely we are to get jumped. I mean, you folks seem to have been garnering a bit of reputation around here. I'm sure not just anything could happen to you just like that without people risking something.
Oh, I'd like to think if they were going to kill us, they'd do so in the dark or while we sleep. And then, raising my voice just enough, surely no one here is foolish enough to take on two heroes of the city in broad daylight.
With a wizard at our side.
Oh, are we allowed to tell people that?
Let my knuckles tighten a bit around my staff. That sounds about right. All right, let's take that one. And I point at a random inn then, if you have no other suggestions.
Oh, there's only one inn that I know the name of, so if we're going to stay on a path that I can retreat down if things go wrong, that is the direction we should go. And I will gladly lead my compatriots, plus one dog, in the direction of the Regent's House taverns. I shall head in that direction.
Then you lead the way, Heinrich, doing your best to remember, and to be fair, you do remember the way to this area. You remember it was maybe a more central part of the district, not so tricky as some of these narrow alleyways that go to the left and right. Again, there's even a few other shops here as well, and you also remember there was a sign on the front that looked like a rat. Yes, actually, that's right. This place wasn't just a tavern. You actually think it was the home of the Rat Catchers Guild of the city. Not that you were that interested in that information at the time.
I know, and in point of fact, the smell has still not been able to waft out of my coat.
But there is a difference, Heinrich, in the air. When you were last here, there were a few people actually visible, moving about the district, minding their own business. It is, after all, a place where people live. But now it's deadly quiet. You occasionally think you can hear a bit of a scuffle on a rooftop, but not a scuffle like a fight, a scuffle more like somebody moving about very quickly, but every time you look, there's no one there. Still, you find the tavern. You can see through its dim windows, there are people inside, and the door is open. The building itself, for those who haven't seen it before, is a squat 2-story building. On the outside, there is both a tavern sign, but also a symbol of a large rat, which could mean anything, but Heinrich could inform you that, as he's been here before, that this is apparently the Rat Catchers Guild headquarters as well as a tavern in this district.
Well, there's no better way to appear like you've been invited than walking in like you've been invited. So, no shame, no cowing, all the stature that a man of his size and build can muster, straight through the door.
And in you walk. You remember the last time you came in here? There were a lot of tough-looking men and women gambling around tables, drinking, being boisterous. There was a moment of silence when you entered, but then Krueger made his entrance and everyone settled down as you went to the back to find this half-nose. It's very different this time. It's deadly quiet as you enter. All around you are those rough men and women, but this time they are not drinking, they are not playing cards. They're all just standing by their tables. Weapons at the ready. Rifles are out. Pistols are gently just in people's hands, not aimed at you, but all just visible. There's about 20 people all just quietly regard you as you enter.
Wow. I didn't realize that we were expected. I'll raise my hands up to my sides, just away from the hilt of anything. No need for celebration, though. Just here, wondering if you've seen our friend.
As I see all this and I my eyes get used to the dark and I realize how many people there are here, I take a little step to the side, just be ready to dart back out of the entrance again, but I don't want to seem unsure, and clearly, well, he seems very relaxed, so I'll just try and look relaxed as well, and I lean a little bit to the side of the door.
Erica lets out a low growl as you enter, Siegfrieda, but she stays at your side. She's not being too loud, she's just clearly a little alarmed. Clearly for your sake.
I try to reassure her, although I know she can get quite tense in these kinds of situations. Then again, it might be good to let the people here know that they can't just fuck around with us, so I'm not going to put her completely at ease.
A woman with an eye patch comes over, briefly, again, 2 large daggers at her sides, cloaked in leather armour. Yeah, you were expected. Come on then. Back door.
By all means, lead the way.
She gestures to the door, and you are led to a back room. You don't remember coming here last time, Heinrich. You think you went to a side door that time. You are led into a smaller room with a very large table and some chairs. In this room are 7 individuals. 6 of them are standard humans, from the look of them. Men and women, again, armed with pistols, rifles, all just at their sides, just ready. There is also a very large ogre in the room, clad in metal armour with a very large club with a bit of a spike in it. He's just picking his teeth as you enter. And finally, at the table itself, this time wearing armour as well, is Alfred Halfnose, the dwarf. You remember him from before, with his matty, starting to grey beard and his rather unfortunate facial disfigurement. He himself is carrying a very interesting-looking pistol. He says, Well, friends, yes. I mean, I wasn't quite expecting them to send you directly, especially not without, good old Krueger, but we did see you coming in, boys. No offence to all this, by the way, no offence, it's just, you've proven that you're not to be trifled with, so, if you're here to negotiate, that's lovely, but if not, we are gonna sadly have to defend ourselves.
Did not come here to hurt anybody, Alfred. No need to worry about that. Although very impressive. I'd love to see that in action, pointed at somebody else, gesturing towards his pistol.
Well, we've all heard the rumours. I reckon you could take out at least 7 or 8 of us, but as you can see, it would cost you a little, just saying. Again, that's not a threat. I think all of you could handle a few of us now, but there is more of us than there are you. So if this is part of the Watch's new cleaning the riffraff of the city, led by the heroes of Middenheim, we are ready for you.
I appreciate the seriousness with which you take your enterprise, Alfred, but no, unfortunately for all of us expecting violence, that is not on the agenda today. 2 simple questions that I have, although it would be rude of me to enter your establishment and begin making demands. So I will let you decide. Shall we go through the process of the small talk or skip straight to the bit where we both know what's going on?
He grins widely and leans forward. Well, I don't know. What do you prefer? I'm going to give you some leeway, after all. Something tells me I'm not going to get a lot of coin out of you lot today, but we are here to negotiate. Have you got the 1,000 gold crowns by any chance? That would make everything very, very simple.
Oh, believe me, if I had been given 1,000 crowns, I wouldn't be having to run errands like this. I think you will find that the great masters of this city intend on paying both you and myself roughly the same amount.
Isn't that always the way? And here we are doing some good work for once. Isn't that right, boys? Everyone kind of just nods. There's no laughter this time.
But you didn't ask for 1,000 gold crowns thinking you would get it either. So we can at least agree on that, right?
He scratches his hole where his nose would be, and frowns as it is quite red there. Well, I suppose that is true, dears, but the question is, what are you going to offer? I confess I am surprised that, darling little Krueger isn't here. Did he get a little scared? Did he worry we wouldn't really like to see him? He's not wrong. I mean, he's literally a watchdog now. That's not good, but, to be fair, not exactly wanting to cause the watch trouble. In fact, if anything, you're here to assist. We're assisting you. We want to give you this person. But, well, he's not here then. What are you lot going to offer? Oh, and just so we're clear, Lady Wittgenstein, I've got an eye on you. You did good last time. That was a very, very clever move. I personally think it was brilliant, but I'm sure you can imagine that the man is neutral to you right now.
I completely understand any frustrations that the man might be feeling toward me. But I'm sure the man also knows that in this business you have to take the best option for yourself. And you'll get the money you're owed, just as agreed. I'm not about to disappear from the city anytime soon.
He laughs loudly and says, You see, a viper in the midst. That was beautifully said, my lady, beautifully said. And I'm sure no one's here thinking that, if most people said that to the man, they'd never be seen again. But, don't worry. I think he respected the clever move, and so that's why we're on neutral terms. But what I'm saying is, please, never do that again, alright? If today's negotiations, if they're going to go well, we can't have you coming in with your little loopholes, your little actually, here's how we get what we want and you get nothing. You won't get away with it a second time.
No, I think that's understandable.
Can I rewinding a moment? When he speaks about not knowing where Krueger is, could I roll intuition to see if he's telling the truth?
You certainly can. I will say this already. He hasn't actually said he doesn't know what Krueger is, but please make an intuition roll.
Oh yeah, it's more like the tone of it. Is he taunting me because he does know, or is this a genuine thing? I just want to see what's going on there.
Yes, please do.
That is a 2 under intuition of 49.
Well, he didn't exactly say, I don't know where Krueger is, but it's really weird that he started with, where is he? I was expecting him. That's weird. If he's got him, why would you say like that? Like he's literally just said he's not underestimating you. He's literally, in fact, just said he thinks Siegfried is very, very clever. So why would he be blatantly lying to you like that? Unless, of course, he didn't know where he was.
No, that's what I was afraid of. Well then, 2 problems in short order, I suppose. First, of course, the nature of the ransom. The money is off the table, which leaves us with, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 options. We could make a demand to just hand him over, and you wouldn't do that. We wouldn't get anywhere. We could arrange for some kind of mutual service, but then we would be indebting ourselves further into to your web. And no offense, I'll be leaving town soon, so can't make good on those promises. Which leaves some other arrangement. Surely there is something more valuable than money that you and yours could ask of.
Well, of course, but money is awfully nice. But go on then, we're negotiating. And he does raise a hand, and some of the people in the room do finally maybe lower the weapons just a little. And he says, to be fair, I was 50-50 that is actually why you were here, but again, don't be insulted. There was a good chance that you were here as part of some, you're the heroes of Middenheim. Well, 2 of you anyway. Who the fuck is that? And he points at Gurner Stark.
You don't know him?
No, I don't.
Oh, half knows. This is... you're standing in the audience of a bona fide wizard.
Is that so? Oh, thanks for letting us know. Mr. Wizard, move those hands a little and we'll be shooting your head first.
I casually move my staff from one side to the next, and I say, well, That is, unless the shadows want a taste of you first. But it seems like we've got a nice talk going on.
Oh, I like him. He's got an ego on him, but yeah, don't get too cocky. Wizard. I haven't met a wizard yet who couldn't be shot, even though you can make it difficult. So I'm not saying you can't murder a bunch of us in this room, but again, don't try and strong-arm me. We're being friendly here, aren't we? And he smiles.
No, of course.
Yes, I don't think we've ever been friendlier.
Good. Well, all right then. Mr. Heinrich then, what exactly are you offering? The man is worth 1,000 gold crowns, but as you said, I'm not going to get it. So what are we going to get for helping out the city and doing good?
Well, you'll have to forgive me for not being much of an expert on the actual coin value of various less than legal dispensations, but perhaps for a limited time we could arrange a permit or a pass of sorts for yours to engage in a certain kind of activity, something that would make your lives easier in the long term, and the council would be willing to swallow. I'll be terribly honest. All I know about the kind of work you do comes from the stories that go up and down the river, so...
We don't do anything. We are legitimate businessmen, conducting business, enforcing law and order in a lawless place, looking after the little guy, and I, myself, just deal in information. I don't know what else you'd be talking about.
Well then, as legitimate businessmen, surely there is a permit that you would like signed, or an inspection that you would like deferred. Perhaps an area of the city that's a bit too well patrolled and is scaring off your very legitimate, not at all criminal customers.
He considers for a moment, scratching at his teeth and spitting out something on the ground. He nods. I tell you what, your permit, they're a little hard to get permits, and something tells me you're not going to be able to get one, but how about you tell your little friend this? I'm assuming that's why he isn't here. He sent you free in his stead to sort of appear nice and aloof, even though he's actually involved heavily in this. You tell him we have reason to believe that a certain individual in the Old Quarter goes by the name, the moniker Big Cheese. He's been doing a little house cleaning. Apparently some of those hand types might have been using some of his warehouses, and he doesn't want that. Oh, he got rid of them, don't you worry. He has left said warehouses a tad empty. And maybe we could reclaim those houses for the good of the city, but maybe when that happened, no permits needed. Maybe instead some people could just be, I don't know, looking somewhere else.
Oh, it sounds completely reasonable. I'm sure, turning to Siegfrieda and to Gerner in turn, that the great magistrates of the city have more important things to do than track every little transaction when it comes to land changing hands.
Exactly. And I'm sure Krueger, now he's all buddy-buddy with the watch commander, could certainly organise a little bit of a change. And again, we're helping each other out. Apparently those warehouses were just recently in the hands of terrible individuals.
And you would be surprised all the places that we can find them.
All right then. Well, maybe we have a little deal. I do need to stress, though, if somehow something goes wrong here, again, Lady Siegfrieda comes up with some clever little loophole, and maybe, I don't know, we get to those warehouses and there's tons of watch waiting to arrest everybody. That's fine, but, well, we will have a problem. You say you're leaving town. That won't really help you. So, just a little amendment to the contract, if you will. If this all goes well, wonderful, but if you try and screw us over again, there will be consequences. And they're not consequences I want, personally. I think they'll be very bloody for both of us. But we'll have to, you understand.
We have a mutual interest in staying alive. That is true. And I cannot speak, of course, to all the ins and outs of the Watch, but I do believe the Watch Commander also shares this joy of not being dead. So, we'll see. One other order of business, if I may indulge.
Well, you certainly can, although I must say that at that point we might be moving into the territory of coin. He smiles.
I understand, and have come prepared to a small degree. Krueger isn't waiting with us because Krueger isn't here.
Well, I can see that.
Oh no, I mean he's not here. He was supposed to be here and isn't here.
He frowns a little. What do you mean exactly? I'm not a lawyer here. You can speak normally.
Well, fair enough. Our good friend and associate went ahead into this district, had some business he wanted to attend to, a little shadowy, peaky stuff, you know how it goes, and was supposed to meet us here. Now, as I understand it, you, or collectively the people in this room, control all the ins and outs and ups and downs of this district, which leads me to believe that either you know, or someone in this room knows what may have happened to him.
He frowns a little. He scratches his beard. He looks to some of the people in the room. They look back at him. He whispers something to the ogre on the right. The ogre quickly bundles past you all and just leaves the room for a moment. And he says, Well, I do know most things that go on, but I'll be honest, I don't always know them immediately. Wongo Crown. Please.
I am not myself immediately clever enough to come up with a retort, but can I at least attempt to haggle this man?
Certainly, make a charm roll at a -20. He's very unflappable.
You know what? I am not much of a flapperist, because I rolled a 49, which would not pass even at the penalty.
He grins and says, 1 gold crown. Oh, alright, I'll tell you what, because we're being friendly. 15 silvers. There, you're not going to get a better discount than that.
Your generosity shall be written in the legends. I will dispense this coin onto his table.
As you do so, a young boy suddenly comes into the area and runs forward. He whispers something to Ulrich. Ulrich whispers back something. There's a bit of a hand signal here and there. This must be those famous known gang signs you've seen so many times, Heinrich.
They're so fast.
And then the boy runs off. Well, I don't necessarily know about dear Krueger. You're telling me he just came here completely by himself and tried to sneak about a little? Completely by himself. He does know he isn't that good.
No, I think he does think he's that good.
Oh, no. Well, I can tell you this, we don't have him. Because, frankly, if you haven't got from the negotiations we've just done, I don't actually want you two to be trying to murder me and I murder you, because I don't think it will go well for either of us, you know what I mean? But one of the boys down the south side does say he saw a little bit of a scuffle. He says he saw one man scuffling with 3 or 4 men, who then proceeded to drag him down into the sewers. Now, that's not an unusual sight, of course, in the Oswald district, but I can confirm that every single competent individual is currently here in this tavern or outside of the surrounding perimeter. So that means that someone who isn't one of us has grabbed somebody today. Maybe that's your man. It would seem awfully convenient if it wasn't.
Indeed. And between you and me, my companions and everyone in this room, if I pursue this rumor into those sewers, I'm not going to find anything untoward or undesirable, am I?
Well, you're going to find an awful lot untoward down in the sewers, my friend. The question is, are you going to live through it? The sewers are not exactly safe, filled with nooks and crannies and beasties. And, well, are you even going to know where to look? The sewer does kind of cover the entire city, sir.
True enough, and not the first time I've had to stalk through shit to find something worth finding.
No, we were once on the path of a 3-legged goblin. Remember that? We were much younger back then.
According to my source, this all happened at least now an hour or 2 ago. Personally, you don't need to listen to me, but if you want to go and traverse around sewers looking for someone you don't even know where they are, there might not even be any tracks. Well, most people call that a bit suicidal, without a guide.
Very good pun. Suicidal.
I know! I do occasionally come up with a good pun if I do say so myself.
Well, how would you go about tracking someone down in the sewers after an hour has passed, as you appear to be the expert in talking shit?
I don't know. Personally, I'd be thinking that personally, your friend might be well dead. Think about it, who would have nabbed your friend if not us? I seem to recall there might be someone else in the city you lot have royally pissed off, eh?
Our friend is sadly not the friend of everybody. There are plenty who would consider him enemy number one. But we are still coming to you for assistance. Imagine it were one of your friends, or a relative, a loved one, a cared-for pet that went missing down the sewer an hour before. You wouldn't just give up and say, well, they're probably dead already, would you? You would have a stratagem, some kind of idea as to how to follow a trail or find a trail. Where would you go?
It's tricky. You'd have to talk to one of us first, maybe get some money coming down our way. You could go via the sewer jacks. The only issue, friends, is you don't have a trail. I can tell you where the sewer grate is, but if they've covered their tracks, they've covered their tracks. Most people who move in the sewers, nabbing people, well, they know what to do, especially, well, if it's the Purple Hand. You might be lucky and he got kidnapped by some completely random people who are just trying to ransom him or something, in which case they'll have left a lovely trail, but the problem with that Purple Hand was they were really, 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 really good at hiding until you lot came over. But, again, if you really want to, well, it's your choice to go down there, but I don't know how I can guarantee you find your friend in a timely manner. Maybe that man will know something.
Is Erica at all good at picking up scents?
She has some skill, yes.
Do we have anything of Krueger's on us that she could use for that purpose?
You certainly do. The only thing you might be concerned about is when you hit the sewers if there are several other strong smells.
There's at least one.
But it might give us a start. What do you think, Gurnar? You know all about shadows and darkness, and I'm sure you've been acquainted with more than one sewer in your time.
I nod thoughtfully. Well, you almost described the front of the Grey College there. No, I couldn't say with this particular city. I think the idea you have with your dog there helping out would be probably the way to go. But sure, if we were to venture down there, I could certainly help with keeping us at least alive.
And you say that your magic can help move us places. So, in other words, if we were confronted with a tide of, well, who knows what, you could maybe jump us to the other side of it.
That would be something I could do, yes.
Well, that sounds infinitely preferable to our last experiences in the sewer, Heinrich.
Quite.
Well, again, you're welcome to go and do that, but sorry, I'm a little confused. Like, are we still trading for the man? I thought that was why you were here.
Oh, that too. Yes, but sorry, Heinrich is the boss when it comes to that, I say, looking at Heinrich.
Right, well, good luck. I just hope you don't run into an army of 30-40 cultists. Might be tricky for you, just saying. By yourselves. Then again, you have proven us wrong in the past, so maybe you can take them all on.
There's only one way to find out.
I have a proposal. I'm going to put my arm around Heinrich, turn away from this ogre-like creature. Why don't we make a deal with them along the lines of, if they lend us some help, and let's say we find one of the last holdouts, the last outpost or safe house or whatever of the Purple Hand, if that's where Krueger has ended up. We say that anything in there that is not, I guess, magical, and we've got Gurnar here to determine what is and isn't, can be theirs. We're getting paid by the city. We can use their bodies to help clear out any blockages, and we will also maybe this will also pay toward getting this individual back from them.
Well, that sounds terribly reasonable.
Well, I suppose we can give it a try, can't we? We'll turn back around.
Worst case, it'll cost us 15 silvers to ask. Pardon the colloquy. We have a proposition for you. This deal that we have negotiated requires, of course, that I be alive and Siegfried be alive and Gerner be alive and Erica be alive at the end of it to explain the new terms to the Watch. Therefore, it seems quite in your interest and the interest of your associates to assist us in this suicidal endeavor.
Well, not really, no. I mean, to be fair, no, you make a good point. 50 gold crowns.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, how are we going to make this work? Understand, do you remember when you came here before, friends, and you were like, where are the Purple Hand? Tell us where they are. And I had a little bit of information, but that was it. We don't have anything because you've almost found them all now. We've heard the rumours that the Watch are trying to find their little last holdout, and I reckon it's going to be somewhere in the Undercity, but I don't fucking know. What you're asking is for us to elicit our services to fully scour the Undercity and personally root out this den of bastards who haven't actually done anything to us, just say it's the Watch and you lot who have a problem with them.
No. You're misunderstanding. We have it on good authority that this cult has all kinds of ornaments and relics and stacks of coin. I mean, they're going to have been hoarding them somewhere, and they haven't been recovered yet.
A lot of it has, my dear. I have little whispers there. Oh, so you're forgetting who they fucking are. I don't want chaos-tinged cultist artifacts. I'm not a chaos cultist, just a reminder.
Chaos cultist gold spends just as easily as the rest of it, and if you have been paying attention to the rumors, which I know you have, they managed to infest some quite lofty positions in the city. One does not do that without money, and however much is socked away in whatever vault, hideaway, or tiny hole we drag them out of, will certainly have at least 50 gold crowns inside. The proposition is this, Ulfric. I am going to go, and my friends are going to go with me, and we will either succeed or we will fail. It is in your best interest that we succeed if for no other reason than you desire warehouses, and we can enable that. But, as Siegfried has pointed out, whatever we find in there, you can distribute it to the good hard-working people of the city as you see fit.
What about this person, the person we're trading for? Isn't there a chance that he might be knowing something himself if he's involved with them? What if we made our task a little bit easier if we could just have a little talk with him before we set off?
Well, that was the original negotiation. I was gonna give you your man who says he knows lots of shit. That's why he wanted to talk to the Watch Commander. But this deal... Alright, because you've been polite. You're gonna have to sell it a bit. What happens if there is no giant vault of gold and instead a whole bunch of mad cultists who kill a bunch of my men and, just kill a bunch of us, and all we get is, we did some good for the city. That will be very, very... the boss will be fucking furious.
Oh, I'm not asking you to kill them. In fact, if you will locate them and then remit to me the joy of killing them, that would be preferable in my terms. I can't speak for everyone else in the room, but... I don't need your blood, Ulfric. I just need your information.
He squints. He frowns. So, we risk our lives and our crew to help you go on a sewer hunt with little information. Maybe we find this final den for you, and in return, we might get something. On your good word.
Oh, don't make it sound like you've never made a risky investment in your life before, Ulfric. But if you need convincing, then let's do it this way. My friend Gerner, you are correct. Perhaps the information we desire is locked in the nugget of our mutual acquaintance. Let us speak to him. Perhaps we will have no need of you and your crew after all.
He hums, he haws a little. Well, I was already going to do that. I don't know, you lot and your tricksy schemes. Well, yes, I was going to give him to you. You can do whatever the fuck you want with him when you have this person. But fine, alright, you talk to them first. And if you can find something worth my time, you come back here and we may help you. Keep in mind, I'm not happy about this. Helping out you lot do your good do-goody deeds it doesn't actually concern us at all, but if there is some sort of secret treasure hoard that's not have, that hasn't been confiscated already, considering you do know they already confiscated everything that Lord had, and all his subordinates that they've currently found. But alright, if there is a secret treasure haul, then maybe we could give you some people and you can traipse around the sewers and try and find your little lair. Maybe. Alright. You lot really do drive a hard bargain.
It's a tough world.
Fine. We're still getting those warehouses, by the way.
Wouldn't dream of taking that off the table. And hey, cheer up. At least you personally aren't going to be wading through the refuse of the city.
He nods and gestures for a woman to lead you out, the woman with the eye patch. You're led out of the tavern onto the streets, and she looks at you all and just chuckles. They weren't kidding. You lot really are out of your minds. You're playing a dangerous game, you know, like, it's all good and well, but you do realise that if you screw over the man again, we all gonna have to kill you.
Oh, that has been made abundantly clear.
Alright, let's go down this way then, and you can get your man, and then you can begin leading your little expedition into the sewers.
Joyfully, I thank you for your assistance.
As she leaves, I look at the two of you and I say, "Oh, interesting. These bargains you fare, I suppose. Would you say this is the way the Empire moves forward?"
What, via a sewer? Sorry, I was being glib. Go ahead, Heinrich.
Oh, I was going to be glib too. I was going to say, I venture to say this is how the Empire has always moved.
Yeah, I don't doubt you on that. It's just interesting to see this. I have been moving in other circles. Let's just say that. And I shrug and sigh, say, well, which way do the sewers then?
Down is usually a good direction to head.
The woman returns and looks at you quizzically and says, "We're going to get... Do you want the man first or not?"
Yeah, I understood that we were going to go have a meeting with a man about a horse first.
Yeah, so let's make it brief, though. I've clearly got a hankering to wade through fecal matter.
Oh, doctors are weird.
And so you are led through the district to a street just a few steps away. Not too far, actually.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the legendary campaign The Enemy Within for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, published by Cubicle 7. In this fourth part of the series, we are tackling The Horned Rat. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Wordclock, Minotron Omega, Aegersonus, Apocryphus, Halgrath, and Northumbria, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We'd like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, Graham Barey, and Doug Thomson for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that Skaven are definitely not real, and even if they were, the Emperor has already dealt with that threat.